Hello and welcome to our Trainer Accreditation webinar, Leading Your Excellence Journey. I'm Christian Forstner, Director of Business Development at EFQM in Brussels. In about 30 minutes from now, you'll be accredited as trainers to deliver our new product, Leading Your Excellence Journey. You may be aware that we have always had training products to develop assessors, to enable them to assess in a team or organizations. Now we have produced training products to help organizations to develop. It took us some time to gather and collect expectations from markets and partners to find out what they expect. And we found out there are different stakeholders out there: leaders, management teams, and experts. They all want something to develop their organizations to higher levels of excellence. So we have developed new core content to meet or even exceed these different expectations according to the definition of excellence by EFQM. Here you see what the result was. Different expectations from leaders, management teams, and experts helped us to produce 3 new products to help organizations to develop towards excellence. Well, and different stakeholders have different expectations. We found out that leaders want to lead and inspire excellence, while management teams want to understand and manage excellence. And then there are experts who want to plan, improve, and measure excellence. This is why we have developed core content that is, number 1, unified by our unique EFQM kernel, that is unique EFQM knowledge, but tailored to different needs and expectations of these organizational stakeholders: leaders, management teams, and experts. So we have produced 3 core content versions. Leading Your Excellence Journey is one of them. This core content will have to be adapted and customized by you, our experienced trainers, and our partners to adapt the content to the organizational environment and the level of maturity of the organizations where your people come from. Here you see the total portfolio of training products right now. On the right side, you see our assessor development products, EAT, EFQM Assessor Training, and Qualified Assessor Training that is related to our levels of excellence. These 2 products are around for about 1 year now. On the left side, you see these are our products to develop organizations. To fulfill the market needs, all needs and expectations of members, this is difficult since they all have different expectations. And EFQM, as a small organization, cannot realistically provide a large range of customized products to meet all these individual needs. This is why we have developed core content reflecting EFQM, EFQM knowledge, EFQM content. But we need your help, dear trainers and partners, to customize this core content to the specific needs and expectations of your clients. So, the design concept of our new Leading Your Excellence Journey is core content that can be used in a variety of different ways. The standard delivery is probably classroom training, but core content can be used flexibly and may be delivered online through virtual live classroom software like our Adobe Connect product that we are using at EFQM. We can even produce a pre-recorded video on demand short version or like in-house workshop sessions from it or other versions. So core content is flexible and can be used in different formats. To summarize, this core content can be modified and should be modified and customized and supplemented by experienced trainers to develop bespoke, customized solutions to fit all specific customer needs. Leading your excellence journey. What's the content and what are the messages? Well, first of all, where is the market? Who is the market? Leaders of organizations tell us they want to inspire, lead, drive and support organizational excellence to ensure that improvements that they start are sustainable. This is what they want to achieve. And more, these leaders want to further develop their leadership competencies. They want to understand what it means to lead and inspire the journey to organizational excellence. They want valuable knowledge presented at executive level by trainers who are very experienced and knowledgeable. So here is an expectation, dear trainers. You need a lot of experience with EFCAM as a model by using EFCAM in assessments and also training experience. And you should have lots of experience in terms of knowledge about organizations to deliver this training in a valuable way. Well, and then these leaders want to understand why other organizations are successful, so the success factors. And overall, they want to know how to effectively turn this into value for their organizations. The design principles, core content, as I said, for leaders. So we connect to leaders at their level. Therefore, we don't want them to do homework. The only thing we want them to do, those leaders, before they come to our classroom is to review 1 or 2 executive articles that we provide. Then we know that leaders don't have time. This is why we have designed this training as a 1-day only classroom training. But 1 day means a full working day, not just 4 or 5 hours. You will see in a few minutes, since there is lots of content. However, as I said, we are flexible and the whole concept can be and should be customized. Leaders get after the training a certificate of attendance. And well, I think I already said it, the course has to be delivered by top-notch, highly experienced trainers with considerable maturity, seniority, and credibility. Course objectives. We want leaders to further develop their leadership skills. We want them to know how to lead organizational excellence, what the success factors are, what the benefits of excellence are, how to lead change, how to drive improvements, and how to transfer the new learning into practice. To support the course, we have developed a quite extensive and detailed course workbook. This will be used by delegates, our leaders, during the course, but we've even added a few chapters to be used after the course for them to transfer their knowledge into their individual organizations. The workbook will be used during the course by groups and after the course, obviously, by the leaders to implement their learning. The course structure. Number 1, the future of organizations in terms of excellence should be defined by stakeholder expectations. This is EFCAM's definition of excellence, as you know. Now, if organizations know where the future is, then they need to know where they are right now. And this is defined, the now is defined by assessments. This is at least our philosophy at EFCAM. Now you know where you're headed and you know where you are. Now you can define a high-level strategic view or course or journey towards the future. Strategies need to be implemented, strategies need to be deployed by processes, things need to be prioritized, change has to be scheduled and designed, and improvements have to be scheduled. And then, if you do it right, you will achieve at the end benefit for stakeholders EFCAM's expectation is to achieve or even exceed expectations of all stakeholders, whether this is possible or not. So this is the course structure, very simple, very straightforward. And now I just walk you through the course by showing a couple of slides and content so that you see what will be delivered. The course outline is, according to these structures, that number one, leaders use stakeholder expectations to define the future. It's also leaders who use assessments or self-assessments to define where they are right now, whatever the level of maturity is. It is leaders who define strategies to achieve or even exceed stakeholder expectations. And again, it's leaders who prioritize improvement activities and lead change. And at the end, it's again leaders who ensure that the benefit created meets or exceeds stakeholder expectations. This is content of the morning session. This is only the morning session. We start with a discussion about leadership and excellence, and this is where this pre-course reading comes in. Leaders discuss the reading, this executive article, and have a better understanding and an aligned understanding about leadership and excellence. Then we introduce our excellence journey, as just explained, steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and start with step number 1. How can stakeholder expectations be collected? Then we introduce the fundamental concepts of EFQM. We define a vision, mission, values, and strategy, and these are basics. And my experience is that even top-level leaders sometimes don't know the difference between a vision and a mission. So we talk about these things and try to get people aligned. And we finish before lunch by transforming strategies into actions to show how this is being done. In the afternoon, we introduce radar, but only aspects that really matter for leaders, so we don't bore them with all the details of radar. Then we talk about results and enablers. Introduce the criteria model quickly. Again, we are at leadership levels and we never leave at this level. We just select those aspects that are really important for leaders to understand. And we finish the training off by discussing and showing examples how to lead change, how impact can be optimized, and at the end, how improvements can be prioritized, and show an example or two that business excellence really works in practice. This is the content of one day. So you see, it has to be 8 hours, however you schedule it, and probably it makes sense that leaders, delegates arrive at the evening before so that you can start fresh on the training day in the morning. Now I show you with a few slides extracted from the official slide set, a little bit more about content. As we said before, we start with a group discussion on pre-course work. Pre-course work was this reading of an executive article. Leaders can do this on the plane or in the evening before they come to the course. So that's not a big thing. We discuss how leadership and excellence are related. How can leadership support excellence? Or maybe wrong leadership can destroy excellence. Maybe people even have some figure in their head to have a discussion in reality. We've introduced a new graph here to show what EFQM means by defining stakeholders and benefit from stakeholders. If this is a case study organization, whatever organization it is, then number one, we would have to define who the stakeholders are. And typical stakeholders include customers and people, partners and suppliers, society, the environment, and something like governance or the owner. As soon as these stakeholders are defined, the more difficult task is to define expectations from these stakeholders, and this necessarily always includes potential conflicts of interest, since expectations can be different and sometimes even contradicting. So in other words, the task is to collect the picture as it is, a realistic picture of stakeholder expectations before you can start to find answers. Then we said we know the future expectation, and now we have to assess where are we right now, at what maturity level, and so we discuss assessments. And here is a task for the group of leaders. We asked them, imagine you would decide to conduct a self-assessment in your organization. What would be your role as a leader in this self-assessment? So again, it's about the leadership role. How would you treat improvement potential proposed by your managers and people who attend the self-assessment? Valuable discussion, and again, it helps a lot if you have, as a trainer, experience in this. And here you see, this is the answer to stakeholder expectations. We call it the strategy. Maybe a new definition of strategy now, coming from the challenge, how to meet or even exceed expectations from your stakeholders. Strategy should be an answer to this. Logically, next group work is about what is a strategy. Imagine you want to meet or exceed all stakeholder expectations defined in group work. What would be a good strategy? How would you reconcile potential conflicts between different stakeholder expectations in your strategy, in your strategic targets? How would you proactively consider agility to respond to changes in stakeholder expectations? Very difficult questions, and you have to facilitate or moderate this using your own examples for your own experience. Then, having a strategy is one thing, but without transformation into action, there is no impact, and this is why the next picture and exercise goes down into the world of enablers, into the more operational world, how to transform strategy into enablers. Obviously, this is about selecting those enablers who are most important. It's about strategic prioritization of enablers to ensure that the organization focuses on the most important enablers. And, needless to say, this is a very important leadership task. Group work, use a case study, and we are introducing a case study here during the training that is only one page. A very short description of an organization in China that you can easily understand by just reading one page. So it takes them, these leaders, like 10 minutes to understand the case study, and then they can use it. And we asked them first, okay, from your understanding of the case study, try to transform strategy into actions by selecting the most important enablers to ensure effective change. And they give them a little summary of EFCAM, so they see what enablers they could choose, and they understand the strategic challenge from the case study, so they can bring these two things together. Here another interesting picture, a very short version of the EFCAM model. Maybe you've seen this before or maybe not. I think this helps to explain what we mean by measuring. So we have enablers, and enablers perform. You cannot avoid performance, and performance should be measured. And with a little time lag, performance turns into impact. You cannot avoid impact being created. And impact is felt by stakeholders. This is kind of closing the circle. And with this simple picture again, we show why we need to measure performance and why we need to measure impact to improve our enablers. The improvement of enablers need measurement of performance and impact, and obviously you measure both against target, and the targets come from the strategy. Improvement of enablers need performance and impact measurements. We have a panel discussion in the room that you would lead, and there is a quote here from Jack Welch, the ex-CEO of GE, who said, "Only what we can measure can be improved." This is very true. And therefore, we try, to encourage a discussion with the leaders in the room. How can we probably select the best result indicators and this is a leadership task. We try to summarize the picture, what leading change really means. It means, like 5 points: prioritize those enablers that will enable change, select relevant indicators to measure performance and impact, ensure that these measurements are used to make enablers more efficient but also more effective, communicate your decisions, and support and guide your people by helping you doing this. Overall, leadership challenge, this means leading change. And then the final check: are stakeholders satisfied? If you transform the strategy into enablers, if you select the right performance and impact indicators, and then you correlate, and then you try to, compare whether the impact you have created comes close to what stakeholders expect, then you create excellence. In other words, what we have here is probably the smartest definition of excellence. If stakeholders confirm that the impact generated by the organization has created real benefit for them, if they confirm this, then they are satisfied, target has been achieved, and excellence has been created. As simple as that. This is EFCAM in a nutshell. Well, we finished the training off with showing an example of an organization in UK, Siemens Traffic Solutions in this case, real data that shows that excellence works. And maybe you have, as trainers, better examples, more convincing examples, maybe that fit better to your environment. Use them. Again, these slides, the whole concept, the whole training is meant to be customized by you, our experienced trainers. Oh, by the way, this is the guy, Jürgen Meyer, who created this success by using EFCAM. And we have a nice quote here that you can also discuss with your leaders in the room. Right, we summarize. We went through all these 5 steps, starting by defining what the future is, then looking into the as-is situation, defining a high-level approach that we call a strategy, defining the operational implementation, and trying to achieve the overall target to make all our stakeholders happy, even if their expectations were quite diverse. That's it, basically. The last minutes of the training, we ask our leaders to sit together with another leader. We call that peers, and we encourage a peer discussion to implement their learning, to digest the learning, and we want them to discuss for a couple of minutes what could be the next steps. So, for instance, what is the most important learning you take home from this training? Which of the 5 steps of the excellence journey do you intend to implement in your own organization? How can your peers support you? So maybe they keep calling each other over the next couple of weeks to challenge each other. And don't forget to discuss how can EFCAM support you on your personal development path. That's it. That's the training, Leading Your Excellence Journey. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your interest in this training. I'm sure you'll have fun delivering the training. I'm sure you will feel how leaders understand what excellence really means. This is not too much of EFCAM. This is just what leaders need to know. And overall, I think you will love it. And so I wish you success with this training. And please use your own experience, your own examples to flavor this training. Make it your personal leadership training in the name of EFCAM. Thank you again, and all the best. Bye-bye.